So welcome everyone. Thank you for attending GroupLink's webinar today. And Amy was kind enough to reach out and asked us to participate and provide you an overview of Novell Vibe. I'm Karen Victory. I'm a senior sales engineer at the Midwest US and also the North America collaboration lead. So my email address is on the slide, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. And so what we plan on doing is going over an overview of Novell Vibe, but I also wanted to bring you what is new in our latest release. So there have been many times that we have presented with GroupLink, and we have provided updates and an overview of Vibe for those that are new to the call, or maybe you haven't heard about Novell Vibe and what it is. And so we've provided an overview, but Vibe releases so often, so we're constantly bringing you newer features about every 6 to 8 months. And so Amy asked if we could update you about what Novell Vibe is and provide some of the newer features in Vibe 3.3. So Amy, is this an open line? Can people ask questions anytime, or is it only chat?
So everyone is muted. However, if anyone has questions, they can put them through on the chat or the Q&A. And if you'd like, we can answer those at the end, or we can monitor them throughout.
If we can monitor them throughout, I know for me, I'm the type of person where I like to ask questions while the slide is still up, where it's still relevant. And so I invite you to participate and get involved in the presentation, so that way it's not only one person talking for 45 minutes. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started, but please, if you have a question, just interject and we'll go ahead and get started. So Novell Vibe is one of the newer products within our entire collaboration stack. We start with Novell GroupWise, which is our flagship email system that we've had for umpteen years, and then we've had Novell Messenger, which is a entitlement to GroupWise as well as an entitlement to Novell Vibe. And Messenger allows you to have that instant communication with someone to get to your answers faster. It also allows for presence. So what presence does is presence allows you to see the status of people, of users, whether they're online, whether they're away, out of the office, what have you. So, and then we brought Novell Vibe, and Novell Vibe started off with being called Novell Teaming. It was Teaming 1, and then we went to Novell Teaming 2, and then we provided Novell Vibe on-premise. So we've gone through a few naming, rebranding. I think we're stuck on the Novell Vibe name now. And with Novell Vibe, this is a platform that really allows your end users to collaborate, truly collaborate, whether it's through wikis or blogs, giving you that team workspace, the personal workspaces. Workspaces is the place where you go and you do all of your work, whether they're project teams, departmental teams, whatever kind of teams you might have, whether they're regional teams, sales teams. So it really allows that collaboration. But we also have a tight integration with GroupWise, where we have calendar sync and task sync. And those synchronizations from Vibe to GroupWise is brought to you by a product called Novell Data Synchronizer, which Data Synchronizer was the last product that has been brought into this stack. And a lot of you may be familiar with Data Synchronizer and the Mobility Pack. The Data Synchronizer and the Mobility Pack is what allows you to communicate, or I should say, allows you to synchronize your GroupWise information over to your mobile devices. Well, we use that same engine, but we have a Vibe connector coming in, and it synchronizes your GroupWise and your Vibe calendars and tasks. So with that, that's our entire stack. And so let's get more into the components of Novell Vibe. So this is a high-level feature chart or feature slide of Novell Vibe. And I say high level because within these main features, there are so many things that you can do. So there's features within features. But at a high level, we start off with the Customizable Workspace over on the left. And these workspaces, again, is where you go and you do all of your work, whether they're your individual, you're sharing or storing your personal files, or you have personal photos there, you create whatever you want, wikis, your own blog. But more importantly, where we see Novell Vibe really excel is on the team workspaces, where you have project teams. So you may have, milestones and project tasks, and you're creating a project team, or maybe it's a departmental team where you're sharing files and you're doing edit in place and versioning. And that goes into the content management component. So content management is where you're storing your files, you're editing your files, you're sharing your files, you have version histories, you have multiple versions, and this is where historically, group-wise document management, this is the path for group-wise document management, is to come over into Novell Vibe and utilize the content management within Novell Vibe. We also have what's called relevance dashboards. We have several different types of dashboards within Vibe, and when I say several different types, because you're the one that dictates what kind of dashboard do I need. Do I need a project dashboard? Do I need a dashboard of my search results? Do I need a dashboard of all the different calendars that I have across all the different projects? So what kind of dashboard you choose, what that is. And that's why it says relevance, because, your dashboard may not be my dashboard, and so it's relevant to yourself. Within Vibe, one of the most powerful features that we have are custom forms and workflows. So anytime that you add something to the Vibe system or the Vibe platform, you're filling out a form, whether that's pulling up a new task. That's considered a form. If you're profiling a document, giving a document a description and attaching a document, that's a form. If you want to create a survey, that's a form. So we have workflows, and workflows are the ability to automate a business process. Anything that you want to automate, we can do it. Workflows are extremely powerful with different types of transitions, transition based on comments, transitions based on variables, transitions based on time. So if something has gone 48 hours without some type of response, we can do an escalation. And so imagine any of the business processes you have, we can automate those. And then we have the social tools built in. This is the wikis and the blogs. Some of them are fun. We have microblogs, which are like status updates in Facebook. If you've used Facebook, I would assume most of you have. So a lot of social tools to make the system fun as well. We also have the ability to create what's called landing pages. And landing pages is another type of workspace, which I'll show you examples of all these different things. But landing pages are like intranets. So the Novell Vibe system can become your extranet. It can become your intranet. It could also be departmental intranet. So they can get as down into departmental level to a global level if you want. And so landing pages can be very powerful feature to use. Everything within Novell Vibe, it is an LDAP thing, or is an LDAP based system. So any kind of LDAP system you have or directory you have, we will sync with. You can sync multiple directories, multiple base DNs, and so because it is LDAP, we're not taking advantage of the access controls within your LDAP source, because Novell Vibe has its own user-based access controls, and this is key. you know, a lot of organizations are at the point where they want to start delegating the ability to give the end users rights to be able to share files, to share workspaces, to share folders. And so we give you the ability to lock it down so they can't, or we give you the ability to allow delegation of that user-based access control. I mentioned Instant Messenger at the beginning of the slide, and this is where Novell Vibe also has an entitlement to Novell Instant Messenger, formerly known as GroupWise Instant Messenger. And this provides the presence awareness within Vibe. So imagine if you have a document, and next to that document you're going to see a little avatar of the person who submitted it, so the owner. And then you'll also have one for modified, and you can see if their avatar is lit up. Maybe you have a question on the document, and so instead of sending an email, you can quickly bring up an IM chat from that document. With Vibe, and really having a mobile workforce nowadays, we have a mobile UI. So there's a few things that we offer here. We have a mobile UI, which allows you to access Novell Vibe from any device that you're on that has web capabilities or web browser capabilities. But also with the iOS and Android device, we provide you a Novell Vibe application from the application store. So you can download this application, and quite honestly, all it is it's an application to store your user credentials. So you put in, you know, your username, your password, where the URL is to the Vibe system, and then you say remember or don't remember, it's your choice. Say okay, and then it's just going to basically launch a browser in the background. Okay, so you'll see that both methods, whether let's say you have a mobile or a Windows mobile device and you want to access Vibe, there's no application for it. You would just launch your mobile browser and go directly to that URL. We also provide a Office plugin. And what this is, you'll see a screenshot where from Microsoft Office products, we have extended the banner across the top to bring you a Vibe tab. And so from Office, you can click on that Vibe tab, open up documents, save as, save, open, create new. You can do all of that from the Vibe tab. And what that gives you is a very tight integration straight into Vibe. So you're not having to save it out to your S drive or your or to your desktop and then bring it into the Vibe system. We're allowing you to do that directly. Okay, and just skipping extra steps. We also provide a desktop sync. For those that might be familiar with NetWare or OES Linux, we provide you a feature called iFolder. And iFolder allows you to do the offline synchronization. And this is basically the same concept, different product or different feature, but it's the same concept where I can synchronize my workspaces, or I can synchronize all the way down to a folder level and synchronize that information to my desktop for offline working. And then when I connect back, it's going to sync everything back up. And when it does that, it's going to create different versions if you allow versioning. Because you don't have to allow versioning, you can. And so it'll create a new version of that document, or it'll just overwrite the existing document that's already there. Amy, I think, is there a chat?
Yes, I have seen one question. The question is, if you are licensed for GroupWise, you receive the GroupWise connector. If you're licensed for Vibe, do you also receive the Vibe connector?
Wonderful question, and yes, you do. So the Vibe connector for that synchronization for the calendars and tasks into GroupWise, you do get that Vibe connector for free. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I mentioned that we had tight integrations into GroupWise. This is not only a email-specific type of application. Novell Vibe will work with any type of email system because we support, just like it works with any LDAP system, because we support the standard protocols, ICAO, SMTP, And so you can email in and out of the system. You can subscribe. You can synchronize. You can do all of that kind of stuff. The tight integrations with GroupWise is just because we own that code and we can tightly integrate into GroupWise. But that doesn't mean we have several customers that use Novell Vibe for its robust capabilities right out of the box. This isn't modular. Everything you see here you get out of the box. And so we have a lot of customers using disparate email systems that use Novell Vibe, and they just use the standard integrations with iCal and SMTP. So I see another question. I'm curious if Novell Vibe is able to be integrated to Microsoft Reporting Services Server like SharePoint. So I'm not familiar with Microsoft Reporting Services. Maybe you could elaborate what the reporting services do. However, if it's on the auditing side, Novell Vibe absolutely provides auditing capabilities from reading, writing, creating, deleting. We can tell you who did what in the system and when they did it. So we provide that full auditing reporting capabilities. But Vibe is very commonly compared to SharePoint, and rightfully so. It definitely compares. I would say, no, with biases aside, I would say that Vibe certainly brings a lot more functionality out of the box. It does not require any web development whatsoever. It can be developed too. We do have an API to do that, a web services API. But right out of the box, Vibe is ready to be used as soon as you install it. The install is actually very easy. And you can have a Vibe system. Once you build the server, you can have Vibe up and running in less than 20 minutes. So full capabilities in less than 20 minutes. End users really like Vibe because they get in and they can start using it right away, right? It doesn't require creating workspaces. And again, it's not modular. So a lot of these features that you see, the workflows, wikis, blogs, all of those are separate modules within SharePoint and can become very costly. So we really like the Novell Vibe and what we have to offer, especially with it working with any of the email systems out there. It doesn't matter what you're running. So it really gives you that flexibility and that choice across the enterprise. All right. So I lost my focus, sorry. Let me get to the next slide. So with our latest release, Novell Vibe 3.3, which was released in June of 2012, we brought that Vibe add-in, and what that is the Microsoft plugin, which I'll show you a screenshot in a little bit. Novell Vibe Desktop, which allows that synchronization offline. The Mac is coming. Actually, my apologies. The Mac desktop client is already available, so there's an error on this slide. So you can also use Macintosh to synchronize your files to your Mac for offline use and then resync back. The Office integrations, we are looking at doing that for Mac, but we do not have Microsoft Office integrations on the Mac yet. This is just Windows Microsoft Office. We're also looking at OpenOffice. But I'm not sure if that's actually going to make it or not with OpenOffice. We've also provided a lot of enhancements around landing pages. You know, we introduced, this is kind of a funny story, we introduced landing pages in Novell Teaming 2.1, I believe, and we weren't sure how it would be received. So we kind of just threw it out there just to see what customers would do with it. And it became the hottest feature and the most one of the three most used features within Vibe. So we have really, really concentrated on bringing you new improvements to landing pages so that it's easier to create these landing pages, so much so that an end user can go in, create a new workspace, make it a landing page type of workspace, because when you create a new workspace, you get an option of what kind of workspace you want to create. And so they just say landing page. And it's pretty cool. What it does is it brings up a widget type of layout. And so if they just want a link to a URL, they drag and drop the widget over into the box where they want it, and they just provide the URL widget. We can also embed videos. This is a pretty cool feature. So being able just to drag and drop that you want a video in there and put the URL of the video, you can size it, and it will embed that video within Novell Vibe. We also made a lot of improvements to wikis. We've included what's called dynamic groups. So we can move and copy multiple files and discussion entries. Moving copy is an important point. So within Vibe, when you're going through Vibe and you're starting to create workspaces, or your users are creating workspaces, oftentimes you need to be able to move those workspaces around because maybe logically it didn't belong where it was created, right? And so logically you need to move it to somewhere it does make sense. Well, within Vibe, we give you the option, or we give you the capabilities to move and copy anything to anywhere. This is critical because there are products out there that don't give you that flexibility. And you'd be amazed at how many times you need to move and copy stuff within a collaborative environment. Maybe you have created a workspace that you kind of want to use as a template, and you want to copy it. You can copy a workspace template. Maybe you created a folder structure that you want to be able to copy. You can copy that somewhere else within the Vibe system. And then, of course, if we release anything that doesn't have quality and performance enhancements, I'd be shocked. So anytime we do a new release, we always improve on quality and performance. It's the number one thing that we're trying to achieve. So, and then like I said, we release Novell Vibe every 6 to 8 months because there is no client front end that you have to upgrade. It's a very easy upgrade on the back end, and so we can release it more often because it is so easy to manage and update. Now, the next version of Vibe, though, we're making significant architecture changes, and we're actually changing the underlying code. So that's actually going to be more of a 12 to 18-month release, but it's on the horizon. So we're almost 6 months into that, so you're only looking at another 6 to 12 months before the new release. But that's actually going to be a whole new architecture and code underneath. But there will be an upgrade path, without a doubt. So,
Karen?
Yes.
Sorry, I just have one question that came through. It says, we're in the process of rolling Vibe out. Is there a mechanism for making recommendations for future versions?
And is there a mechanism for making future recommendations? So I'm not quite sure where that question is going. So I'm going to answer that on a few fronts, and hopefully I answer it. As far as making future recommendations, some customers refer to that as enhancement requests, and there absolutely is a place to make enhancement requests for Vibe. You can do that through your sales rep. You can do it through me. You can send it to me. Or you can go to bugzilla.novell.com, and you can enter in an enhancement request to Novell Vibe there. Again, that's Bugzilla, like Godzilla, but it's bugzilla.novell.com. The other front of how I would interpret that question is from an implementation standpoint and moving forward. So if you're implementing now and you want some suggestions or recommendations of maybe how you should move forward with your rollout, you absolutely can reach out to me. I will be happy to assist you. Email address is kvictory@novell.com, and we can talk about your environment, what you're using, the platforms you're using it on, how many users you have, how many servers should you use. If your server is being degraded because you're using one server, I can talk to you about the components to start moving off to get more of a distributed type of environment. So we can absolutely have an architecture overview and set you up for success when you go to migrate or upgrade to your next version. If that did not answer your question, please let Amy know in the chat, and we will, or contact me offline. Either way, we can. I'll certainly address the question. Okay, so some of the common ways, or some of the most widely used features within Novell Vibe you're seeing on this slide. So the number one is document management, right? This is where people go to share their documents. They go to version their documents. They can profile. If you're in the legal industry, you can profile your documents. You can, when I talk to you about those forms, they're also called entries. The forms can be customized. So if you need to add certain fields, it's very easy to add certain fields, and all of those fields become searchable. Vibe uses what's called the Lucene indexing server underneath, and it is indexing as you're typing. So it is one of the most powerful indexing servers in the market, and Vibe definitely has a lot of searching capabilities. The next highly used feature I think that we see is project collaboration. This is where project teams get together, they create task lists, they have different milestones, and we also have a milestones folder where you can see a roll-up of all the tasks across your different projects or your different phases. Another word for phase is a milestone. So that's what milestones can do. We can also provide what's called task summary lists. So let's say a project has 10 task summaries or task lists. We can summarize all of that into one view and see where the entire project from beginning to end stands. The other piece that we see, and this goes back to the landing pages, we weren't sure how this would take off, and it is one of the top 3 widely used features. And this is where it's your intranet. It's an intranet type of thing, but it doesn't have to be your main intranet. They can be anywhere from mini intranets like departmental. Maybe there's, human resources want their own intranet where when the user logs in, they land on that human resources landing page, and it gives them new laws that they need to be aware of right off the bat, right? So it's just an informational type of thing. You can use intranets to link to you can use these little intranets to link to your main intranet, so you can link to URLs. I mean, the best word I know is flexible, okay? You can also use them for branding and social networking and stuff like that. So knowledge repository, this is where we see a really high utilization around wikis. It can be any kind of knowledge repository. I think because we're in IT, the most common knowledge repository that we deal with is going to be around technical knowledge bases. My Microsoft, or I can't log in, or I need a password change, or places where end users can go to figure out their own issue without calling help desk, right? A knowledge repository. But there's many places within the organization that need knowledge repositories because, when users join a company, they need to be able to share what's in their mind, and when they leave the company, you don't want that knowledge to leave with them without them sharing with the new people or management before. And so this is where wikis really come into play. And then the process automation, this is the workflows. So being able to use forms and workflows to move or automate a business process, anything. I mean, it could be a purchase requisition. It could be a legal document review for legal. And we have several different types of forms and workflows and workspaces that are already built, and they've been contributed to the community. And we'll talk about the resource library in just a moment. I have another question. Hi, the calendar and task integration with GroupWise is configurable by user. By team, could you give a quick overview of that feature? Again, so the calendar and task integration, That's a great question. It kind of can be configured by user and teams. And when I say kind of, I hope that you understand when I explain it what that means. So when I've been given access, let me step back. Let's say, for example, because tasking calendars are very similar in how they sync. When I have created a task list, it will, when I create a task list, as an owner of that task list, I'm giving certain people rights, or I'm giving teams rights. And so whoever I give rights to, and the administrator has set up the ability within the Vibe connector for me to be a user that can synchronize, it will automatically synchronize with my GroupLink. Okay? So that's why I say kind of, because you have a part in it, and then it also depends on user access. And so based on those two components, it will synchronize to my GroupLink. Same with calendars. Now, it is for the most part a unidirectional, at this time, a unidirectional synchronization from Vibe to GroupLink. And with tasks specifically, we do have bidirectional synchronization when you update the status or the completion of a task. We will synchronize that back to Vibe so that Vibe is updated. But let's say you have a calendar, and so a calendar synchronizes over to GroupWise as a sub-calendar. And if we have time or Amy allows us to go over, I'd be happy to demonstrate. Or you're more than welcome to reach out to me offline, and I can give you a one-on-one demonstration. But when I synchronize my calendar over to GroupWise, it becomes a read-only calendar, okay? And it becomes a sub-calendar. It becomes a read-only calendar. We do have bidirectional synchronization on the roadmap, and hopefully bidirectional synchronization will come pretty soon. So I hope that gives you a quick overview of how the feature works. And that synchronization, we're bringing you that synchronization through the Vibe connector and the data synchronizer. So this is an example of a Vibe user interface, okay? This is not the out of the box Vibe user interface. I just want to be clear. So I don't know if you can see my cursor, but at the very top, that is normal. So where you're seeing the arrows, the arrow left, the arrow up, and the My Workspace, and all those tabs across the top, that's common. What you're seeing in the body here, that's actually basically a landing page, and it has been configured as a landing page. It's very easy. What you see on the left is a common look and feel. So you have a blog folder, a file folder, you have photos. You know, there's a state Department of Transportation that uses Vibe, and they use before and after photos of their road work, so they can see the progress. So there's definitely business cases for photos and tasks and so on. What's new activity stream? This is pretty cool. So I think I'd better move it along. I only have 10 minutes left. So what's new activity stream? This is basically at any level within where you are. If you notice on the left, we have my favorites, which are like links, or my favorites are like bookmarks within Vibe. You have my teams because you're a part of different teams. You can follow people in places like you do on Facebook. You follow people in places, same thing. So, and then you also have site-wide. So when I click on one of these areas, it will tell me what has been new, what new has been added into the system. What haven't I read yet? And so what this does is it brings up some of the relevancy that I talked about earlier, but it also brings up, you know, if I'm part of a team and I need to see what's been added, I don't want to go out and go to every single workspace. Just tell me what information has been added so I don't have to go and look for it or search it or go through all these web pages. Just tell me. And so what this is telling you what the activity stream is. And this is a screenshot of the task management. This is, you know, I love Vibe task management. I think it's great, and we, you know, I also like GroupWise, and so it really complement the way we do tasks within GroupWise now, because there's been a lot of task updates in GroupWise. But it allows you to change the priority on the fly. You can add people to different projects. You can change the status of the project right from this page. So it's very, very nice task management for when you're doing a project workspace and things like that. We use Novell Vibe when and if you participate in a beta program within Novell Vibe or within Novell. We use Novell Vibe to run those betas, okay, and we participate with users. So Vibe is not only for internal use, it's also for external use. We use Vibe very heavily within Novell. We also use Vibe for what we call Enablement Central. And Enablement Central is more or less a workspace for the entire sales field where we can go to each of our different areas and we can find, for sales if they want to ramp up on the feature set, if they want to find a battle card, if they need to get more information about the product, okay? So this is Enablement Central for our Novell employees. This is the Vibe, the mobile UI that I was talking about. So over on the left, you can see the iPhone and Android app. It brings you to a browser-type interface, which you see in the middle. But yet, if I want to use a browser, which is on the right, it will bring you to the exact same user interface. So that application on the left, all that is a credential store, period, nothing more. So it's both of these access methods are bringing you to exactly the same place on a mobile UI. This is the Vibe add-in for Office. Again, I told you it extended the Vibe tab, extended the Office banner and gave you a Vibe tab. We allow you to edit the document, save it, save as directly into Vibe. You can rate documents. You can comment on documents. So everything that I'm adding for comments here, I can comment from my iPhone. I can comment from anywhere. But those comments are stored on the document so that when you go into Vibe 2, you can see the entire list of comments for that particular document. We can also add tags, and real quickly, you'll see tags right above the area you add a comment. And so you can add personal and global tags, very similar to what we support within GroupWise through categories. Okay? And then the Vibe desktop, so Windows and Mac that we support. Offline synchronization. Okay, if I synchronize my folder, I now have access to it offline, make changes, edit the documents. As soon as I sync back, or as soon as I connect back to the internet, it's gonna synchronize a new version or overwrite the existing version, whatever you have told the system to do. This is the integration with GroupWise and Novell Messenger. So some of the things that you can do is, if you notice, so this is a simple folder view. So within GroupWise, you have different folder views. And so over on the left, you can see a simple folder view. I personally use a full folder view. And so what it does on the full folder view is it'll take that Novell Vibe and drop it below the trash can, okay? But this is a simple folder view. It's showing you the integration within Novell Vibe. And because we've added web panels within the Windows client, you're able to see all of these Vibe, everything that you can do within Vibe in a browser, you can do without even leaving your GroupWise client. This is the tight integration, okay? Because I don't want to have to go back and forth. I want to be able to stay in my GroupWise client because that's where I spend the majority of my day, unless I'm holding conference calls or phone calls or meeting with customers. Otherwise, I'm pretty much in email. So I want to be able to access Vibe from GroupWise. I want to be able to drag and drop emails that have attachments directly into a Vibe folder. I may want to email or forward. Let's say I receive an email and I want to forward it to a Novell Vibe folder. You can email enable Novell Vibe folders. They're not an additional license. It's just a feature of the product. So I might say I want to email or forward an email to GroupWise project at vibe.novell.com. All I'm doing is giving that Vibe system an A record, another DNS name. So it becomes an emailable product, email in and email out, or I can drag and drop. So when I'm emailing in and out, that's an SMTP method. So this is where you don't have to use GroupWise, you can use anything, okay? But if I want to drag and drop emails, I've got to be using GroupWise because I need that tight integration. When I do searching, I can now search across GroupWise as well as Vibe. So when I go to Tools Find, then I get to choose if I want to search only GroupWise or only search Vibe or search both, and it'll become one unified search area. So yeah, I talked about all the other stuff. Validation. So, you know, just some of the, we have several quotes, but this is one, businesses want a solution that help their employees get work done, but don't create security problems, right? Security is a huge issue, and so we want to be able to delegate those rights, but still, or delegate the controls of giving users rights and allowing users to delegate those rights. But at the same time, we need to be able to audit, and we need to be able to see what the rights are as site administration or site administrators. Novell Vibe gives CIOs the balance they need to keep between keeping their workers productive and protecting corporate assets and business knowledge. Yes. So what a question on the chat is Vibe Desktop similar to iFolder? It is very similar to iFolder. It is not iFolder, but it is the same type of technology, offline synchronization. All right, so some of the advantages of Vibe. Quick to install, I mentioned a lot of these. Easy site and workspace creation and branding. Again, for SharePoint, you need a developer right off the bat. With Vibe, you don't. You could run your entire Vibe system without ever developing anything, and users would be very, very productive. So, convenient to connect to existing file stores. You can connect to existing file stores. I don't want to get into that conversation today. End users can customize without requiring major setup for developers. Integration into Office. Let's see if there's anything on here I haven't said yet. Robust content management, feature depth, security, powerful, and all the integration. So I mentioned a lot of the advantages going throughout. The Vibe Resource Library. If you are looking at Vibe, please, 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 go and look at the Vibe Resource Library, okay? It is a library full of stuff that you can use, stuff that your end users can use. It is powerful. So you can go to novell.com/vibe, and actually across all of our products now, you're going to see a tab in the middle of the page called Resource Library. So any product you're looking at, go take a look at the Resource Library. It has just tons of information in there. But specifically for Vibe, a couple of things that I'll point out. It has forms and workflows that have been contributed by other companies as well as Novell. We hire some interns, and the interns will sometimes create workspaces that they hear customers need, and so they'll create them and donate them. They are basically where instead of you recreating the wheel, you just edit the wheel, okay? So you can, it's very quick to import workspaces, forms, workflows, okay? Workspaces, again, it's very easy to import them. Go take a look. It's pretty slick. The other thing I would mention is that we have what's called videos and audios out there. And I actually built a workspace that I'm getting ready to contribute to the resource library, where I have embedded all of our training videos, and they're like 2 to 3 minute snippets, where end users, if they're looking to do something, if they want to brand or logoize one of their workspaces, it is like a quick 2-minute video of how do you do this. Okay, so I created a workspace that when a user logs in, right off of your main workspace, you can link through the videos workspace, and right within Vibe, they can absorb all of the training that they need to get started. So free training. So you should see that coming out soon. But a lot of good information. We also have a Sandbox. This is public access Sandbox, where you can go and you can just try it out, have fun. Log in, you use your e-login credentials, and you can log in, you can start playing around, create a workspace, use some forms, use some workflows, start playing with the system. So you don't have to, it is publicly accessible, so don't store any confidential information out here or anything, but it's a place where you can go and familiarize yourself with it without having to bring up a system on site. All right, so like I said, we release Vibe every 6 to 12 months, and I'm sorry, 6 to 8 months, excuse me. And so you're going to see in 2013, you'll see a release called Hudson. And Hudson is where we will start to Hudson is where we're going to release some of the new coding, the architecture underneath. Actually, we're using the Google Web Toolkit to do it. So it's called Glit. And Hudson is where you'll see a lot of it. We will support OpenID. We support guest access today, and we support named users as well. So a named user would be someone that has a name within the system. They're logging in with a name. We also support guest access, which is when someone just wants to come in as a guest and you can't audit them, but they want to consume information. Again, like an extranet, or maybe you have vendors and contractors that have standard forms and stuff. We have partners that set up Vibe so that their customers can log in and access their contracts. They can see what's going on within their relationship. They can access work orders, stuff like that. So you'll see in Hudson we'll also introduce Filer, and I can't imagine you haven't heard the hype around Filer. Novell Filer is definitely an innovative product that is on the verge of technical preview as well as release. So if you haven't heard about Filer, go and take a look at it. I would suggest Amy, maybe for the next session, you may want to include Filer. This is by far, I haven't talked to an organization that doesn't want Filer. Okay, I'm not going to go over what it is today. I'm going to make you wait, or you're going to have to go out and look. But there is not an organization that can't use Filer. It is the Dropbox for the enterprise, period. All right, that's all I'll say. So it's pretty slick. We're going to be releasing a lot of new features. We're also going to be slated to release Inverness. Again, every 6 to 8 months there's a release, and then we'll have a couple releases in 2014 as well. So definitely a strong roadmap for Vibe, and it's coming along. It's a lot of organizations really like Vibe and what it can do. All right, so just some very quick, I know it's 10 minutes till the hour, some very quick slide decks of the upcoming release. This is what they're showing the new Vibe to look like. So very similar, but a little bit different, okay, on the UI side. It's not going to need any additional end-user training. It's just the end users are going to be able to seamlessly flow with our releases, okay? So just a little bit of change. What you're going to see here on the upper left corner, my file shared with me, net folder shared by me. This is where we're going to see a lot of the Filer integrations, okay? And so we're going to introduce Filer within Vibe in the Hudson timeframe. All right, iOS and Android clients. So instead of having to use your browser, we're looking at actually providing an application that's not just a credential store today, it's actually an application that you'll be able to access the information without bringing up a browser, okay? So you'll be able to access your files. You can access your files through a browser today, but on some devices, you can't edit those files. So we're going to be able to bring you the editing of those files on the devices in the Hudson time frame. We will support OpenID. So I talked about the two that we support today, named users and guest users. We will guest users you can't identify, and then OpenID you'll be able to identify them by their email address. Integrated chat. So this is where we're going to see Novell Instant Messenger. Today it's a separate client, and it does provide presence. Presence are these little avatars that have a little green dot, or they're not online. So we're actually going to bring that into Vibe instead of needing a separate client. You'll also see integrated chat within GroupWise Web Access. I'm just throwing that out there. That's coming very soon as well. And free Novell Vibe resources. So definitely try out the virtual sandbox. There is a 10 free license, full functioning license. You can have 10 users free, no problem. So download the starter pack. 2 different ways of installing Vibe. You can install the Windows or SUSE Linux server, and you can install Vibe yourself, or we provided you what's called a virtual appliance. That it's just an OVF file that you can convert into your organization's VMware environment and start using Vibe. It's already a Select box already installed, and in there we haven't installed Vibe for you because that all depends on your DNS and all of that, right? So but what we have provided is a PDF with screenshots and a video of how to, step-by-step, of how to install Novell Vibe. So go and download that, and then definitely visit the resource library. With that, that's the end of the presentation. And let's see if there's another chat question. The Microsoft, is this the Microsoft reporting for, yeah, has integration components to SharePoint where you can source right into SharePoint. Okay. So the question basically, thank you, Matt, for clarifying that. Matt asked a question about the reporting services for Microsoft, and he was explaining to me that it was basically where you could take reports and embed them right into SharePoint. And so let me tell you, Matt, we already do have that capability through the Web Services API. So we don't have, if you have reports that you want to provide within Vibe, maybe you want to add those reports. I'm assuming this came up when I was talking about dashboards. And so maybe you want a dashboard of reports or charts or graphs or something like that. You can do that. It does require custom development, just like SharePoint was, but we do provide you with the Web Services API to do that today. Great question. All right.